Hello, I am Canine Advocate Heather, and today I'm going to be talking about the four quadrants of operant conditioning. Here you can see we have positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, positive punishment, and negative punishment. Let's go ahead and define those. For both positive and negative reinforcement, we see that reinforcement simply means that we are increasing the likelihood of a behavior happening again. Punishment simply means that we are decreasing the likelihood of a behavior happening again, and we have both positive punishment and negative punishment. The word positive in operant conditioning means that we are adding something. The word negative in operant conditioning means that we are removing something. Negative in these definitions does not mean something bad, nor does it mean punishment. It simply means removing something. Let's put it all together. Positive reinforcement is adding something to increase the likelihood of a behavior happening again. Negative reinforcement is removing something to increase the likelihood of a behavior happening again. Positive punishment is adding something to decrease the likelihood of a behavior happening again. Negative punishment is removing something to decrease the likelihood of a behavior happening again. An example of positive reinforcement is adding $1 to your child's allowance to increase the likelihood that they will clean their room. In this example, the behavior that we want to happen again is for them to clean their bedroom. And so we are adding something to increase the likelihood of that happening. An example of negative reinforcement is buckling your seatbelt to remove the annoying ding sound from your car. So in this example, the behavior we want to happen again is for you to put your seatbelt on. And so we are removing something to increase the likelihood of that happening again. An example of positive punishment is receiving a speeding ticket for driving too fast. In this example, the behavior we do not want to happen again is speeding or driving too fast. And so we add something to decrease that likelihood of that happening again. An example of negative punishment is getting suspended from school for smoking in the bathroom. The behavior we do not want to happen again is smoking in the bathroom, and so we remove you from school to decrease the likelihood of you smoking in the bathroom again. That's an example of a negative punishment. So then, what is NePoPo reinforcement? NePoPo reinforcement is using both positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement to train a behavior. Our goal with NePoPo reinforcement is to train an animal to perform a behavior on cue with heart and soul always. We get the heart and soul from our positive reinforcement, and we get our always or our must key from our negative reinforcement. So why then don't we only use positive reinforcement when we're training our dog? And the reason for that is because if we are using positive reinforcement to teach a behavior, that means we are adding something to increase the likelihood of the behavior happening again. The only thing we can then do if our dog doesn't do the desired task is not give them the thing we were going to add to the behavior, or negative punishment. We simply don't give them the cookie, or don't give them the toy or the ball or whatever it is we are using to add to the behavior to increase the likelihood of it happening again. For most of our dogs, that means we are then asking them to choose between something we have and something else that they might want. So I ask you, what's more important to your dog? The cookie in your pocket or the squirrel running away from them? If the answer to that question is the squirrel, then congratulations, you have a normal dog. Dogs always seek their own advantage in every situation that they are in. And in many situations, there is a lot of what we call competing motivators. Competing motivators are simply things that your dog enjoys, things that drive them to do behavior, like food, praise, other dogs, the mailman, squirrels, smells, skateboards, whatever it is that motivates your dog to do a behavior, whether it's good or bad. We are asking our dog to choose to do the desired behavior in exchange for the reinforcement that we have. Most of our dogs are completely fine with choosing to not receive that reinforcer in that moment and instead reinforce themselves with something else, a different competing motivator. In a world filled with competing motivators, we need a fair way to tell our dogs that they must choose to do the behavior we ask of them rather than chase the squirrel into oncoming traffic or pick a different competing motivator that is potentially dangerous to them. And we can build this must key with negative reinforcement. Let's take the example of teaching a puppy how to sit. I can place my hand on my puppy's rear and add slight downwards pressure as I ask them to do the behavior. As soon as they do the desired behavior, the sit, I remove my hand, which is negative reinforcement, or the removal of something to increase the likelihood of the behavior happening again. I can then also give my dog a treat, which is positive reinforcement, which is adding something to increase the likelihood of a behavior happening again. So we are reinforcing our dog twice while also building in the very important must key. Me removing my hand from their rear or removing the pressure is negative reinforcement. Me giving them a cookie is positive reinforcement. When we put these together, it is one example of NePoPo reinforcement. Now I have a safe and effective way to communicate with my dog that they must do the desired task. So I can say my cue sit, and if my dog sits, I reward them with a cookie and use positive reinforcement. If I say sit and my dog does not do the desired behavior, I simply add pressure on their rear, just like when I taught them. And then when they sit, I remove the pressure, which is negative reinforcement, and then I add a treat, which is positive reinforcement. Either way, my dog will always do the desired behavior and be reinforced every time. Our ultimate goal is to teach our dog to do a behavior on cue with heart and soul always. Thank you for watching this brief introductory video to operant conditioning and NePoPo reinforcement. If you liked what you saw, feel free to find me on Instagram at Canine Advocate Heather. Have a great day and happy training.